Hello, everyone. I am bot number nine. No, I'm joking. Hello, I'm Thesy Surface. I'm an actress and writer and just general mischief maker because that's when the best art comes out.
Were you a mischief maker first, or were you more of a performance artist first?
A bit of both, to be honest. I wasn't a bad girl at school. You know what I was? I was the person who pushed the boundaries just before you get too bad or you get expelled, you know.
Oh, really?
Um, so I never was, but I was a bit cheeky always, just not like, doing something absolutely terrible that would get me expelled. And I like playing around. And I did notice when I wasn't acting in some form or performing in some form, I would cause a bit of trouble in my life. So that's why I have to do what I have to do, I guess, right?
So you have to let it out. You have to ventilate it through performance, and then you feel
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I also maybe I'm inspired a bit because I read Sonny Boy, Al Pacino's autobiography over the holidays. And it's so good because every actor I feel can relate. It's just that thing of you have to do it. Otherwise you find yourself in other situations that aren't as good and healthy. And, not to out you, but you said you just came out of therapy. So
Yeah.
that's the best therapy is to express. And then we're always feeling good and very mentally healthy, aren't we, Tyler?
Oh, yes. I honestly, I it feels so much better after really, um, even if it's a heavy audition or an audition where I'm playing something way beyond my personality. I feel justified. I feel right as rain afterwards. It's like a really
Yeah.
nice hot shower. Um, but I'm curious, when did your performance artist journey start? Whether it was writing first or acting first, when did you know like this is something you wanted to do?
Definitely acting first. I mean, I can take it all the way back to school in jolly old England.
Yeah.
Um, I was 7 years old, I never forget. And I was the bi-colored python rock snake in a musical version of The Elephant's Child by Rudyard Kipling. And I was in drama already at a young age, but I wasn't really like, this is what I want to do. But then I remember people like afterwards were like, that was amazing. And I was just seven. And at the time, because I just moved back from Germany back to England, and before I'd kind of been a kid that was, pretty popular. And then after I moved away and came back, I found, suddenly English was my second language again. Now it's my first again. And I was suddenly didn't have friends and stuff. So I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it was like theater was the way that people liked me. So I suddenly everyone thought I was great after I did the play. Before that, I was a bit of a loner again, having moved back. And then I won the Junior Drama Cup for that. And yeah, I just kind of kept on going. But then I never really went to a full-on drama school. I went to liberal arts college, did some theater there, went to NYU for a few summers, Atlantic Theatre Company, that kind of stuff. Um, and then the writing, I'd say the writing came later in LA when it wasn't. So what? Okay, two reasons.
Mhm.
I'm talking a lot here. Sorry, tell me to
No,
shut
no,
up.
no. This is what I love.
Is two things. First of all, early on when I got my first agent in LA and stuff, they were this small agency in the Valley. Um, and they'd actually seen me in a play, which is nearly unheard of in LA. And they signed me. And I remember the feedback from the casting directors to her were she's a good actress. She looks like she's in her 20s back then, but she acts like she's in her 40s. And I think at that point I realized, holy crap, I might not be fitting into the, you know, like I wouldn't get cast in my age range,
Mhm.
kind of, this whole thing of where you like maybe I have to write a part for myself.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Probably accepted. And I just got that feedback quite a lot, unless it was a little role who was British, I just got that. So that's when I started writing. And then on the darker side, I also started writing when I did quit acting for a bit because there was just some, a bit of psychotic, psycho Hollywood stuff going on in my life. And I found I went from being extrovert Tazy to introvert Tazy. So the way to express was through the writing. That's not the natural
Yeah.
me though. But
Yeah.
it means I have a lot of products. That's what's good. It's
Yeah.
just stuff to put out.
So when you were navigating that, because honestly, I think it happens to a lot of performers once you get into sort of the mainstream auditioning circuit of being told, you're too much one thing and not enough this thing. We're not sure where to put you.
Uh,
So especially at that age, navigating it, I mean, did you feel, I don't know, did you feel disjointed or kind of let down by
I
that, or did it
did.
light a
I mean,
fire?
because no, I felt more disjointed. See, now it lights a fire.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it just shows you I wasn't quite as strong then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, but then what it was I'd get something like, oh wow, she's so funny, Ricky Gervais. Like they'd say Ricky Gervais. This was just when he'd just gotten popular, at the time. And and it was just I also think, and I'll give you an example. I do think also when you're auditioning, but you're not auditioning enough where you know that it doesn't matter, you'll finally hit it.
Mm.
But if you only have, I mean, even today, Tyler, I was talking to this agent who she goes, Taze, you don't understand a good ratio nowadays, and she's one of the top, I'd say in one of the top 1 to 5 agencies here. So, they rep stars and all that.
Yeah.
She says a good ratio nowadays is booking 1 in 20 auditions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, those clients are just going for the bigger roles,
Yeah.
but 1 in 20. And it just kind of opens up the reality to everyone that either you're in that arena where you're auditioning so much that a little comment here and there doesn't matter because you're auditioning so much, something has to hit,
Yeah.
or you're auditioning, but it's still a tiny bit of a lottery ticket. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And unless you're in the top three, like out there all the time, or then you do book and then the avalanche starts. It's something significant. But yeah, that's the long answer. The other answer is I know people who book all the time, but it's little stuff and nothing
Yeah.
really changes. They're just, and I don't want to be that either. Sorry, that sounds egotistical, but I know people who do book a lot or like they do fit the boxes of things, and it's just, but then that's it. That's all they have on their resume. Loads of stuff, but no breakthrough. Wow, that changed their artistic life.
Yeah,
So,
like not climbing the, I don't want to say not climbing the ladder, but
yeah.
you have an under five, but you have like 30 under fives, but you're not getting
Yes.
into a guest star or, when it comes to television,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
and even a guest star, yeah, you're right. I nearly feel there's an in between a 5 line and a guest star as well. That there's a lot of people who book those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just am like, I just, I mean, that's why I did a play last year. It was just me. It was the main character energy and the self-esteem that gives you again. After doing, I also booked something where I was 3 scenes of Russian widow, which was great, but still, you're just, you know, a side thing. And I don't
Yeah.
want to be a side
Yeah.
anymore.
What do you want to be? Because I love hearing that everybody has like an idea of what they want to be when they get into this industry, and sometimes you find it, sometimes it finds you. But you've been in, quite a few things, but what's your, I don't know, like your juiciest role that you
Ultimately,
want to, yeah.
ultimately, I want to be a Bond villain.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God. That's perfect.
I want to be an absolute, complete, psycho, fun, memorable Bond villain.
Have you written anything like that for yourself?
No, I mean that I haven't written.
Okay.
Um, Interestingly, no, that's more what I'd ideally like to book in the future. But in terms of the writing, right now I'm just, I'm doing a mix of stuff, play. I just have stuff to put out, which I just haven't for years, so
Yeah.
that will go out. But yeah, I like, well, you know what I like? I like those stories where you know why someone became a villain. Like I think those kinds of Maleficence and Cruella de Vil stories that have come recently, whether some are good or not, are really cool. And I think, yeah, I think there's stuff there still. But I do like the classic old school things too, of just, a Bond villain or something like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I do get bad ghast, like the calculator. Maybe also whatever a new Desperate Housewives would be. That I could do, I
Ooh,
feel.
yeah.
Comedy with a dog thing. I think there's a new show called The Rivals here. I don't know if you guys have it. Or
I've
just
seen an ad for it. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean that's about posh English society. And it's a bit raunchy, very raunchy actually. But that's a bit like bitchy, upper class, bit fun. But
Yeah.
I do think better. I was looking at Desperate Housewives the other day, and I thought, oh, maybe it's aged badly, but I still think it's great, that kind of nosy neighbors and like what is the dark secret of someone and
Yeah.
it was men and women and it was just, it was kind of cool and it took up some
Yeah.
serious issues too sometimes. I mean, it was
Yeah, it was marketed as one thing, but like, no, we have more depth to this project than you think we would. Um,
mm.
yeah, and I do want to touch on, you're talking about writing. When did you start writing for yourself or just writing in general?
Mm. Actually, I think when I first wrote, I didn't really write for myself.
Hmm.
In fact, sometimes, and that just shows you how people are,
Yeah.
they start reading stuff and they're like, "Oh, is this you?" It's like just because I wrote something doesn't mean it's me. Actually, if anything, I got in trouble because I was writing about other people too much. Um, I'm sorry. What's that Amy Winehouse quote? Like, if you're nice to me, I'll never write anything bad about you.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's a great quote. Not that I want to end up like her, but yeah. So I think I was just writing to express. That's all I was. I really was, just as a side thing that then became more. And then I guess what happened last year is I adapted something for me after being cast in something that needed to be updated.
Oh,
So
wow.
so now I'm a little more like I can write for myself, if that makes sense. And I had written a novella which was about me called Evil Queen in a Tourist Shop, um, that might see the light of day end of this year as a one-woman show. But
Wow.
right now I do need a break from the one-woman shows because you can't jump from one to the other without destroying yourself at this point.
Bad.
Um, and yeah, and then
Yeah.
writing a satire play as well, and just got some TV stuff to put, no, TV stuff to put out. So
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
to put out.
You're in that like that inside of that eggshell where you're just building all these things and doing all these things and it's about to just break.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it feels like. But also, everyone's always like, oh, positive vibes, positive vibes. I do have a lot of anger about, everyone does the dark side of the industry
Mm.
sometimes. And I realize sometimes it's okay to use that anger for good. Do you know what I mean? Because I
Oh hell
think for
yeah.
so long hiding work, hiding, because I'm like, oh, people are going to see themselves in it, all that kind of stuff. Or, but who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some lawsuits going on in Hollywood right now because people have mocked people in movies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
No names will be mentioned. But I'm like, if they can get away with it, then so can I.
Yeah,
I think.
especially if there's ways to do it that I think historically people have done, and it's decades later, and they look back and, oh, I saw this pro was that me?
Yeah,
It's that is a really interesting part of the industry from a writing perspective as well, because I agree, like half of the stuff I write out of anger, even if it's a comedy, because of
see.
something that happened.
Oh, especially if it's a comedy,
Yeah.
Tyler. It's the only way you can, what is it? Get at your and it is make them a joke. And also I think, I mean, again, that's psychological, isn't it? You have to laugh at them to make it go away. If
Yeah.
you just write angry or like one of those rants, like an I find some journalists sometimes just do an angry rant.
Yeah.
It's not really the greatest deflation of someone is through mockery sometimes. And sometimes you're not like sometimes I put people in that I don't have something against, I just am like, oh, this is funny, and
Yeah. It just
they
fits.
all find it funny. But like I don't take myself too seriously. I can make fun of myself sometimes, and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it depends, but
Yeah.
comedy is the best release of what is it? Yeah, rage or
Yeah.
it's
Pure
called the
unbridled
angry
rage.
art, I think. I think
Yeah.
McKee calls it the angry art, actually, if you ever want to check it out.
Oh,
So,
oh yeah. Yeah, it's with this job, this profession, it comes with so much rejection, so much heartbreak,
mm,
that, it's no wonder why so many people try it out. They do the year thing in LA or New York, and then they go back to doing something else because it is such a marathon of an aspiration. But, I do also like talking to guests on the show who are, from Europe and fly over here. They study in New York, they study in LA, they join theater companies here in America, or they work on sets here in America. And I'm just curious what your experience was like training in England, then training in the States, and ultimately, living in LA and auditioning out here,
um,
what that was like for you.
I'd I'd say so. England's, I just kind of did it. I was just in theatre, and it was
Yeah.
I did even, a show musical back in the day and went to Edinburgh Fringe and all that stuff. Um, and then I'd say New York and the East Coast is where I trained mostly. And then in LA, you have those classes, don't you? It's just like you gotta go to this class. You gotta. And
Yeah.
you're like, and again, when you're a bit young and dumb, like I was, you're like, okay. And then looking back, you're like, did it really make me a better actor, or did it just make me more stupid? I think there's a huge classes. I have noticed even in England, London, when I first got back into the game. I did do workshops and stuff, and at first I was good. I actually booked some things, blah blah
Wow.
blah, and then I kept on going, and I think I became a bit of a worse actress, to be honest, because you
Really?
think too much. You start, and then you're with other act. It's just that sounds terrible with other actors, but sometimes it's a balance, isn't it? Like you got to
Yeah.
be exercising the muscle, but you also, in a way, got to be not giving a fuck and living life and just and doing things where you're not over analyzing every scene, every motive, because real people don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the training is good once in a while, but I've noticed I think I do my best work when I'm not always doing it. And just doing it, to be honest. Like even in a play, whatever, equity minimum wage, but just just do it. Get an audience. The audience will
Yeah.
tell you if it's good or not. You know, you need to get in front of the good old-fashioned audience and not just be in a weird studio paying what is it? So
Oh,
much money
so
so that you
much.
can get up for 2 minutes and have some weirdo shout at you because you didn't know the motive of one word. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Sorry, I'm being
Yeah.
really but like get in the real world, of acting and yeah, get it in
Yeah.
front of people. And by
I
the way, I still have links to LA, so I'll be
yeah.
there probably in March. But my family actually live there, some of my family, so
Oh
I just
wow.
go back. Yeah.
Go back and check in.
Yeah.
What
Might have
what what is it like creating and performing? And because you're talking about doing a one woman play, I have never done theater. I've done stand up, which was the shortest amount ever on a live stage, but creating and then performing in a one woman play, I mean, that has to be the most not only daunting but exhausting. Like you'd mentioned before, project to fully fulfill, but when it's done, do you feel like there's a little bit of dread there? Like you want to do the next one, but you're forcing
um
yourself to stay healthy?
yeah, I think it started off really nice though, Tyler, because I had a producer, I was subbing for someone who'd quit. Do you know what I mean? And it was a
Oh,
more old-fashioned version. So I felt very taken care of because there was the producer, a director. We started off, just the fringe circuit, and all I had to concentrate on was the act. Oh no, that's a lie. I did rewrite it already a bit,
okay.
not hugely though. It was still quite the old format, but I did it, I had changed it. And then it was just me acting, so that was way less daunting. And I just felt, there was an Airbnb. They drove me. It was like I was very well taken care of. But as soon as the beast grew and there was more money involved in mid-level theater and all, I felt like at one point, I don't even know if I'm an actress anymore because even though I was, because I was doing rewrites and then there was a time constraint on it, but then they wanted a bit bigger. And then the marketers quit at one point, and then we got new marketers. So it kind of went into cray cray town at that point where I was doing way too much, and that's why what you're referencing.
Yeah.
Um, I I mean, I'm still glad I did it, and I felt so satisfied afterwards. However, I would say when I do my next one, I'm just going to have a lot more people in charge of the other stuff. Um, because as it grows, you need more people.
Yes.
You know, the
Yeah.
budget, I mean, the budget did increase, but probably it was between low level theater and mid level, and when we were doing mid level, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just was doing way too much.
Like,
So that's, I think that's really, but I'd recommend it. I just think you need to test it out with, again, audience, and if the audience like it, carry on.
yeah.
Perhaps not at the lightning speed we did, where they're like, crap, what are we doing now? But one woman shows I would say get laughed at in America a lot. But in England, they're quite the staple thing, by the way. I mean, they are, they really do they start careers. Like Baby
Yeah.
Rain came from a one-man show.
Yeah.
Um,
Fleabag.
Fleabag,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, I'll do it again for sure, but it's going to be strictly mine that I've only me has written, not
Awesome.
someone else, where I still have to, it's not totally my thing.
Yeah.
And even though I'm very grateful and they really reinvigorated my acting as well. So that's great. Um, but I do it again having, the wisdom of
Yeah.
learning the lessons of the first time. And to be honest, the Baby Reindeers and Fleabags, who knows what other one man, one woman shows they did before the brilliant one
Yes.
that we
Yeah.
haven't heard of, that were like, I mean, in the show itself, doesn't he go to Edinburgh to some pub and no one shows up or something?
Oh
Like,
yeah, for a month straight.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was that. See, ours was different because did so well at the beginning. So we
Mhm.
nearly got like, oh yeah, we can go this quickly to that.
Yeah.
And it was just a little, it was still okay. But do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
still a little too fast. So we were nearly, I feel the producer, I was nearly a bit deceived by the goodness of the beginning. So I
Oh
didn't
no. Okay.
whereas later it was more like competing against pantomime, much bigger theatre, not necessarily people on your side. Another thing that you find out is, you know, you're used to thinking, oh, Hollywood's Hollywood, full of backstabbers and stuff. Oh my God.
It's
In
everywhere.
theatre, bitching behind their backs, competing. And I'm thinking, this is, nice, jolly English people in theatre. Wow. I was like, damn, some of these people belong in, the back lots of studios. You could do a Waiting for Guffman or Best in Show mockumentary
Absolutely.
about theatre, like fringe theatre or Islington. It would just be hilarious, like the characters and the bitchiness and yeah. Anyway,
It's it's scary, and I honestly I didn't experience that thankfully until um this last year of oh, I know what this is. This person, why do they, okay, all right, it's part of the deal. I guess I'll work with it.
yeah.
Um, but
Was
I know we
that
have,
in stand up? Was that in stand up?
no,
Or was
this was
that
actually, I mean, stand up for sure, especially the earlier days, but even just, going on and doing a small role on a, studio project, and then you're working with somebody and suddenly they hate, I don't know what it was, just absolutely despise you. And that was the first time it's ever happened, because thankfully in Colorado those types of folks, they aren't very present, because you can't make it in such a small
you
pond by
know
being one
what?
person.
I love you sharing that story because it makes everyone feel more sane. Because when it
Yes.
happens to them, even me right now, you're making me feel, oh yeah, thank you. It's not just me either.
It's not just you. Yeah.
It's not like, my God, maybe it's what's wrong? Am I, and you're in favor one moment, not in favor the next. People are kissing your butts, then they're hating on you, then they're kissing your butts again when you appear on a show again. Then like, oh man, it just doesn't. And
Yeah.
the fact that you say that, it just shows you. It's just people are people everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
And
Doesn't
you
matter.
just gotta, yeah, carry on, have good friends around you,
Yes.
stability of thoughts.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And that's a good connection into. I know we have like 8 minutes left on this meeting. I do want to see if there's, especially with the career that we've both chosen, if there's any advice you've personally held on to that you could sort of spread amongst our listeners, something that's genuinely helped you in your career that you could share.
Two very kinds of, they might seem opposite, but they're not.
Oh, perfect.
One is the typical just don't quit. You just carry on going. I mean, I thought being a bit older, getting back into it was going to be tougher. It isn't actually, because
Oh,
people have
good.
dropped out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In a weird way, I'm finding, well, we'll see. I don't want to talk too soon, but good things are happening right now. I just hate to talk before anything is solidified. Totally. On Hollywood Reporter. But the second thing is, but when you need to take a break, take one.
Mm.
And I wish I could have told my younger self when things got really bad in a very bad, psych. I had a bit of I mean, it wasn't Harvey Weinstein, but one of those types of people
Oh, Jesus.
really destroyed my life, like between you and me. Now I don't care about talking about it because I used to be scared to. I wish I told me then already to like grab me by the neck and put me back in London. But
Yeah.
I didn't. I stayed and I fought. And then this was just the year before the Me Too stuff, you know. And I just, what I think is you really need to go with your gut. And if you need to take a break from the madness because it's making you crazy, it's okay.
Yeah.
And you can always go back into it. I mean, nowadays, also look, nowadays I see all these shows and it's like, I don't know that person. And they're like, I don't know how old, and they just look different. It's not just, you can't, it's not like you just have to be in your 20s and if you don't make it in your 20s, that's it. Career's over, potential over. I think the world has changed. It's more global. There's more interesting faces. There's more diverse and
Yeah.
different times, life stages, people suddenly getting main roles that you've never seen before. And I think it's good to take a break while at the same time at the back of your head going, but I'm not going to quit.
Yeah. You're not done.
But I'm
Yeah.
not done. In fact, someone who saw my show goes, holy crap, taking a break made you such a better actress. He said that to me. And
Holy
I'm like,
shit.
what? I was always that good. He goes, no, 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 no. That was brilliant. He goes, this is so good. The acting was excellent. He goes, it's good you took a break. That was brilliant. And I was like, oh, he's American actually. So he'd seen me and I was like, interesting, you know?
Yeah. Getting that
So
outside perspective.
yeah, and also, I mean, again, don't quit or take a break if you don't feel like it, carry on.
Yeah.
But if something is really, it's just all too much, it's okay. You can always get back into the arena again. Some people may laugh at you, but usually those are the ones that gave up themselves forever. And that's what I found. The negativity comes from people who don't like that you're actually doing quite well again or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's you just got to put the blinders on and just carry on. But if you need to take a break, break.
That's perfect. I think a lot of folks need to hear that too, that it's okay. You know?
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. So,
that is
and
fantastic.
especially when the feedback's so good after, and you're just like, yay, you just,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. This we got like 3 or 4 minutes left. This was a fantastic chat. This is part of the new format of trying to keep this under 35 minutes, having this
Oh yeah, don't worry.
genuine
Well, you can
conversation.
edit it out. You can
Oh, but
edit stuff
I
out.
don't yeah, I don't like to edit it though. It's just it's so I love the natural converse. I mean,
Like,
of course, anything you want me to take out, I will gladly take out. But this is I started relating this to two actors talking between setups on a set, where you have
oh,
that all that time. And the last thing I want to do before I want to thank you for like taking the time to share your story and talk about this is our concluding moment is what I like to call an awkward goodbye.
mhm.
So that's just a verbal and visual goodbye that's super awkward on your end. And when that awkward goodbye seems just as perfectly awkward, I'll stop the recording from there. Does that sound good?
Okay. Sounds very Monty Python. I have no idea what that is, but you lead that one.
I will. I'll give you a. I'll give you a. I'll give you a
In
little
your
push.
B t-shirt, in your B t-shirt, that's
Oh
very funny.
yes, yes. It's yeah. I'm very awkward with things, so I'll just give you the little push and say just yeah. Goodbye.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah.
It's been a very, oh, and R.I.P. David Lynch.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Best
Yeah,
pie ever.
he's, yeah. I'm gonna start talking Californian. That's so awkward.